Hi, welcome back. It's been a while. Well, it's been only a couple days, but I decided to take a bit of a break. I was originally going to go through and react live to the Dateline interview, but then I just looked at Amber's face and I'm like, I can't stand your face anymore. Ended up looking at the interview on Sunday, took some notes, and here is my analysis. I don't want to look at the evidence or the arguments because that's not what Dateline is doing here. What Dateline is doing is manufacturing a narrative. So what I want to do is look at how they are manufacturing this narrative, how they built it up out of the pieces that they chose, what pieces they chose and why they chose them, that kind of good stuff. And my ultimate goal is so that you'll see how they constructed the narrative and also to give you a few places to push back against people who watched this and bought it. A little bit of background about me. I'm educated in fine art and environmental design. Most importantly, I'm a writer, and writers hoard every little tidbit of how to manipulate people emotionally using narrative. We're sort of like narcissists, except we're less charming, more paranoid, and we only torture the people in our heads. Let's begin.
I'm not a perfect victim. I get it. I'm not a saint.
Show the cake. If you do a video in which you're creating a cake, the first thing that you'll show your audience is your completed cake. Now, your video might ultimately be about just the cake, in which case the promise is that they're going to get to see how you made that cake. Or maybe you're doing a video about how this particular cake has an unusual ingredient. Or maybe the cake is a lie. Let's see what kind of cake Dateline is showing us in their hook.
I'm not a perfect victim. I get it. I'm not a saint. I'm not asking anyone to like me, but I asked the jury to just see me as human.
And there you have it, folks. This is Dateline's cake. Amber Heard is a victim of a jury that didn't even see her as human. And their promise to you is that we will see her as human at the end of all of this. When the Today Show uploaded their first teaser trailer, I made the prediction that they would be pro Amber Heard. When they uploaded the second half of their interview, I was certain that they were going to end up on Amber Heard's side.
One day you may want to tell your daughter about this or have to tell your daughter about everything that you've gone through.
You don't say things like that if you don't believe the person. And she repeats it.
Part of the statement said, I still have love for Johnny.
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
After everything.
If you've been in sales, you know that objections are anytime a potential customer has a reason why they shouldn't purchase your product, or in this case, your particular story. You don't make a sale by ignoring objections or by dismissing them. You make it by addressing them. Savannah wasn't grilling Amber. She was giving her an opportunity to address objections. So let's see how Dateline bakes its cake, how Amber Heard is a human being and she's a victim of not having been seen as human by the jury.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented, they listened to your testimony, and they did not believe you.
How could they not come to that conclusion? They heard over 3 weeks of nonstop, relentless testimony. I'm a hysterical woman. I'm a crazy woman. I can't be trusted.
We are not the audience for this. People who've watched the trials, people who've listened to the behavioral experts and the law tubers, we aren't the audience for this. The audience for this are people who haven't really paid attention to any of that, who are interested in a quick, emotional summation of what they should feel about this issue. What they want is something that feels right. And this is what Dateline is giving them, something that feels right. They're tying into a powerful overarching narrative about how patriarchal culture silences women's voices by calling them hysterical. That feels right to people. The idea that this woman is a victim feels right. What doesn't feel right is this.
The DEP team argued that you were the abuser. You instigated physical violence.
A man being abused by a woman? That doesn't sound right. And if he was being abused by her, what did he do to deserve it?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it.
Oh, of course. That makes more sense. She was responding to his violence. It was defensive. This is honestly the first pushback point. So if you're dealing with someone who actually believes the Dateline interview, consider pointing Amber Heard's statement out here and just asking them. Don't argue with them. Don't tell them what you think it is. Just ask, what did she mean by that? By saying, I never had to initiate domestic violence. Who has to initiate domestic violence? And then just let them sit with it. Just let it sliver down into their subconscious and let it fester, and they can contend with it without any kind of further argument from you.
This is a trial run amok, played out on TikTok and social media.
Are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
Of course. I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth.
Oh, that poor, poor woman. She's been silenced by a powerful man. I don't need to watch anymore. I know what this is about. Men. They get away with too much. So let's analyze this. The damsel in distress is the most powerful character in a story. And the reason why is because she determines who the hero is and who the villain is. This isn't just true in stories. Men are judged by how well they protect and provide for women. And they're also judged by women's emotions towards them. So when Dateline presents Amber as a victim, they are appealing to this very age-old, powerful narrative trope. Women set the emotional tone. I did a series 9 years ago called Threat Narrative Tropes, where I examined this very phenomenon. I'll put a link right here. Essentially, what they are doing is they are enhancing our perception of Amber Heard's victimhood and also her martyrdom in a lot of ways. And they are simultaneous to that creating Johnny Depp as an omnipresent threat. He's not really a person in this. He's just a threat. She is presented as a victim of Johnny Depp and his legal team dehumanizing her to the jury. The first objection that Savannah raised ties right back to how they were framing Amber Heard in the beginning. She wasn't believed because she was dehumanized as a hysterical, crazy woman. Either the jury finds for her or they don't regard her as human. This works, though, because a woman in distress exerts a powerful force on the mind. We want to stop the source of the distress, and we just don't pay attention to these contradictions or catch-22s. The second objection is the most critical one, and that is that Amber Heard was the abuser. And once again, she responds to it with an appeal to victimhood. I wasn't the one who was the abuser because I was attacked first. And that neutralizes the entire argument right there. Since the damsel is the character that sets the emotional tone, if she's hitting a man, odds are he's the villain. Now the two main objections to buying into Amber Heard's side of the story have been neutralized by appealing to her victimhood. And that's what this is all about narratively. You inflate the sense of Amber Heard being a victim. You reduce a sense of her agency and her ability to act, and also her ill intent towards others. And simultaneous with that, you increase the perception of Johnny Depp's power and his ill intent. And you say, this is a man that does not care about this woman's well-being. And that automatically makes him a villain. So what's the next step that Dateline takes to bring it all home?
This is a trial run amok, played out on TikTok and social media.
They blame the boogeyman, social media.
Are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
Of course.
And this is the climax of their hook. And they've woven this together very deftly. They've presented Amber Heard as a victim of dehumanization. They've addressed the primary objections to believing her side of the story. They've presented social media as the boogeyman. And now they are presenting Johnny Depp as the omnipresent villain threat.
I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth.
What a virtuous survivor. She's not going to let her voice be silenced by a powerful man. Why is the media so obsessed with this case? Well, there are two reasons. One, public opinion was decided on social media, and they hate that because social media is, well, it's what's going to replace them. And two, Johnny Depp has a claim to being the victim of Amber Heard. That is the real threat to the narrative. That is the real rip in the matrix. Here's what the cake could have looked like in a world that recognizes abuse has no gender.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented, they listened to your testimony, and they did not believe you. The DEP team argued that you were the abuser. You instigated physical violence.
Hits different, doesn't it? Some people have said, just don't give her attention. Don't give Amber Heard attention. That's what she wants. Well, I don't think she really cares about attention from randos. What she wants is to bait Johnny Depp back into responding to her. And I think it's more likely that that will happen if he doesn't hear other people say, hey, we see her lies and we see how the media is manipulating things so that she can continue to lie. I'm passionate about this because I experienced media defamation back in 2015. It wasn't nearly to this scope or level, but I know how lonely it felt and how horrible it was to feel like they were the ones who decided who I was. And I don't want to see anyone else go through that. All right, with that, thank you for having gone through that with me. Thank you for your kind attention. Tell me if you'd like to see the rest of this interview analyzed from a narrative perspective. And here's a bit of bonus content. This weekend, we took our dog Scipio, Afropuppus, to the beach to do a bit of frisbee. When we got to the doggy side of the beach, where there's a human side and then there's the doggy side, my husband, Jonathan, just belted the frisbee and it got caught in the wind and just sailed out into the lake. Of course, Scipio just runs for it, dives in, starts swimming, misses the frisbee, and he just keeps going. And we're watching him going towards the horizon, calling him, saying, no, come back, we have the frisbee. And thankfully somebody caught him because he has a handle on his collar and hauled him back into the beach. And the guy looked like he came out of the set of Baywatch. So my dog was saved by a guy from Baywatch.
I mean, you just kept swimming and swimming and swimming. Come on, we gotta get off this beach.
Once again, if you enjoy this work, please do give me a tip at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Link in the low bar and where I just pointed. And have a lovely day.